a subject, I think only women are abused. Men are now being abused by women.
That's right.
That's kind of sad if you think about it. All right. If you kind of think about it, that the shifting has changed, and I believe that you don't want to know all of my beliefs, but part of it's because we got this idea in our society that women were supposed to be above men. That's never been the way it's supposed to be. God has, as we've talked about, order, and we are to be under authority. And women were designed for their role. We weren't designed to be men, but because we decided in our society that everything was equal. You know, I don't know about you, but I haven't found that in the Word of God that everything's equal. Have you found that? No, I didn't find it that everything's fair. Did you find it? I did not find that God He's a fair God. He's a just God, and that's totally different. And so, but somewhere in our society, we decided, as people, as a group, mostly Americans. I can't speak about other countries because I've never been to another country. But in America, we got some ideas that everybody's supposed to be equal. All men and women are alike, and that men can do what women can do, and women can do what men can do. Well, that's not exactly true.
That's right.
In fact, that's very well not true. So we got all mixed up and we got confused, and so men took this dominating role to push women down. That's where domestic violence started, was to push a woman down. And now women got tired of it. They didn't know what to do about it, and they didn't know how to fight it back. So what they decided was they were going to take the lead and go charging in. Aren't we proud of ourselves? Give me a break. Please help me, Lord, to get my mind in order so I can be in the place that I need to be, so I can know what to look for. And one of the reasons, and I hope y'all won't be offended, but you know, y'all going home tomorrow, so. But is we wanted things too early. We wanted everything. We went out and got involved in relationships that we knew better.
You gotta say it.
We wanted relationships without marriage. We wanted to have our partner, but we didn't want to have a husband. And we got ourselves involved in a lot of things. And so we took whatever came down the pike. We took anything that came down. If he was wearing breeches, we took it. Sometimes we got surprised.
Big surprise.
And we got in trouble.
That's
and
right.
women really got in trouble. And so now there's an epidemic of this kind of thing. It's not in just the poor homes. It's in every home.
That's
It's
right.
almost all of it. Again, y'all gonna get tired of hearing me say this, but it's based back in drug and alcohol use.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Very few people that get involved with a domestic violence are not involved with drugs and alcohol. So it has sad. As the majority of the case, I'm telling you that sometimes there's something more that's going on, and we want to just say. So it's in a cycle of abuse that happens, and this cycle happens. It occurs, and hopefully, again, I'm gonna have to use my nose because I try not to think about this all the time. But here's what happens. Can I just tell you what happens with my friends? I have some friends. What happened with me too as well, but I don't want to talk about that. It was a former marriage. By the way, if you didn't know it, I am a multiple marriage survivor. I refuse to be a victim of divorce. I am a multiple marriage survivor. Praise God. And I am going through, you hear me? And that's why I told my husband, and we were here last night, when he said we were going to divorce, no, that wasn't even in the picture. We're not going through that again. But we have abuse in our lives, and it comes in a cycle, and we kind of get stuck in it. And what's happened with some of my friends is they fall in love. He's the man of their dreams. He ain't the man of their dreams. They got a picture in their head of a little white house and a picket fence and 2 cars in the garage, and they got a man walking up with a bouquet of flowers to give them at night, and oh, how wonderful everything is. That's the picture in their head. So Joe Blow comes along, and he's a beer drinking, belly filled up guy. He don't know how to say sweet things to you. He can't say please. All he says is get over here, honey. And we so involved with our picture in our head that we go for it. We go for it. We get involved in that relationship. Well, that's immediately we fall into that trap. And I don't want to take and make people think that victims are everything is their fault, because it's not. There are some things that we can do as women to keep and prevent this. But what happens with all of us, we fall in love with that picture and we get ourselves all involved in that relationship before it ever happens. We get ourselves emotionally involved in it. The guy's there, and we got to have a man to live. After all, we women, and you know, most of us had some men along the way to leave us, haven't we? We should learn something by it. In this picture, we fall in love. When we fall in love before we ever meet him, we get it. We just know he's the right one. We haven't paid attention. He don't go to church. He wants to go to a party. He's flirting already with the women before we even. But we're so in love with it until we decide we're going to marry him anyway, or we're going to live with him. We're going to move in. We're going to shack up. We're going to do whatever it takes to get him. And then the first news you know, we come home and something's not right. One lady I knew, she didn't sweep with the broom right. That's true.
That's true.
She swept and the angle of the broom was wore out the wrong way, and he beat her over another broom. And you sweep it the other way. That wouldn't be right either. She tried to figure out how to prevent him from going into one of his violent rages, and she never could, because just about the time she figured out that way, he flipping with the other way. Because domestic violence is about control and manipulation. It's about control. It's controlling that person. And that was going on in his life, the life of the abuser, before you married him, before you shacked up with him, before you knew him. It was already there.
Yes.
And it's not going to change if you sweep the broom the different way. Because the problem is in him. And you can't change him. Who can change him? God. But I tell people all the time, some of you ministers might not like it, but again, you know, I'm going to tell you, I tell people all the time, if God in heaven has not changed him, what makes you think you're going to be able to change him? If the God of the universe who created him and formed him can't reach down there but past his will and make him to be something he ought to be, what makes you think you're going to be able to do it by laying in the bed? I'm sorry.